All right, welcome in KC Sports tonight. Happy Tuesday. Gabe, we've got something interesting to talk about tonight. K-State men's basketball about to play its first game since the firing of Jerome Tang on Sunday, and ironically enough, that game is against the team that he was an assistant coach with for 19 years, Baylor. I don't know if you saw Scott Drew had a press conference before they left yesterday.
Yes.
And a local reporter tweeted out a video of him, talking about the Tang situation. And he said that he was excited to be able to see him, which is last night at this point, I guess, and give him a hug. And I'm sure that we'll hear something else in his post-game presser tonight in Manhattan, which we should have available to stream on KCTV 5 Plus late tonight. You guys can watch that while you're getting ready for bed. Yeah. How do you think this is going to go tonight, Gabe?
Yeah, there's several angles to this. One of which is if you live online and you follow K-State fans, or if your algorithm skews you toward K-State sports content every once in a while. One of the things that I think is being under-discussed in terms of the impetus for firing Jerome Tang on Sunday is that there was a widespread social movement to quote-unquote bag out Bramlage, and they wanted a more widespread amount of people, specifically in the student section, to wear paper bags over their head in the same way that a group of 15 to 20 kids did on a week ago.
Those Aldi bags are famous now.
Does anybody and Jerome Tang's final comments as the K-State head basketball coach in the final game that he coached at Bramlage. I know that he spoke to the media on Saturday when they lost to Houston in Houston. But the final thing that he ever said in a press conference at Bramlage Coliseum was, I would wear a paper bag too. Yeah. So that was on the table. And then he said, God bless and go Cats, and he left. And so I think that visual national televised a game on ESPN2 tonight, that idea that was a possibility against Scott Drew and all of the comments and such, I think that maybe forced Gene Taylor's hand a little faster. We can get into the continued debate of for cause or with cause, and I think Jerome Tang has a pretty good argument that he's going to get his money. Because I don't think that most of I have heard plenty of things from plenty of college basketball coaches, and these guys don't deserve to wear the uniform is not that bad.
Yeah.
It is certainly.
It's not good.
It's not good. It was him pointing the finger at the blame because he was feeling the heat for his job.
Yeah.
But
the biggest issue there is the fact that in that press conference, never once, in that 2 minutes and 23 seconds, never once does he put any blame on himself or his staff. He's embarrassed for his staff.
Yeah, and we've talked several times on this show. We've had several stories on Saturday and Sunday nights on KC Sports Night of playing out audio that Jerome Tang has provided in post-game press conferences, and just how little the message actually aligns with things, and how he was just changing what his excuse was. But the reality of the situation is that changing your excuse is really just evidence that you're not a good coach and that you're not doing a good job. It does not mean that you are breaking the terms of your contract. And so I think that the widespread I think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle of the national college basketball media, the Seth Greenbergs of the world, who are going out there and saying the only thing he did wrong was not win enough games, which is true. He didn't win enough games. But the Naquan Tomlin situation, all the Achor situation, all of these different things, there was just program dysfunction
that the national media does not know anything about.
That the national media is not as focused on as the local media. But at the same time, the idea that K-State has a good for cause argument that I think some of the individuals closer to the program and some of the media who is in Manhattan more often than not, some of them alums of such, are maybe more of they're defending the university because they're going to be there regardless of what coach is coaching in the future.
Yeah.
So I think that the truth of the matter lies somewhere in the middle, and probably is closer to Jerome Tang in that this was not egregious. It was attention-seeking. It was attention-grabbing, and it got people's attention. And that is probably his biggest issue over the last 2 weeks is he just brought too much of an attention to how bad of a job he was doing. He could have just slithered off into March losing and losing and losing. But if he wasn't such a crazy soundbite. Yeah.
Exactly. He went viral by his own design.
Yeah.
He there in one post-game press conference, he said, it was after Iowa State. He said, you guys are just going to twist whatever I say anyways and clip it however. No one was clipping anything doing anything dishonest. Like, every single media member was just literally posting sound bites in full. Like, and he just was unhappy when he realized it was bad.
And if anything, the you're gonna clip things that you want. A lot of that came from things that he said that didn't make sense, like the West Virginia game, claiming that NCAA rules kept changing on him, and people were like, this doesn't make, no rule has changed. They didn't just miraculously start saying that Division II years weren't going to count for Max Jones and such. So there's all those kinds of things. Tonight, when they play Baylor, I am more intrigued to hear what Scott Drew says post game than I am what Matthew Driscoll says.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to see what the arena looks like and what the fan support or lack thereof is, because I don't know if this is going to be – I don't think it's going to be a rallying cry for this team. This team is just too bad. The results are not going to change that much. And if we're being honest, part of the Jerome Tang issue is that the coaching staff that he surrounded himself with has not done a good enough job helping him out in any way.
That's been another huge part of this, that, when we talk about the national media not knowing the full story like we do, who cover the team on a closer basis, and the beat writers who do, Jerome Tang's staff has been like question mark for all 4 years that he's been there. Like, fans and whoever else in the area has looked at staff and been like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Why are they here? And when we found out he's going to be fired on Sunday, I immediately went to their staff, their roster page with the staff on it, and I knew right away Matthew Driscoll was going to be the interim head coach, because I'm like, no one else on here
has head coaching
experience. Is even the slightest bit qualified to take it over. So it's interesting because yesterday, this was my story yesterday, and I spent the day chasing around some K-State fans and eventually got in contact with the KC Catbackers president. And he gave me a lot of his honest opinions about everything and how the fan base has been feeling. And he was very honest in saying, like, I haven't been very invested in K-State basketball this year because it hasn't been fun to watch. But he did say, when they come here for the Big 12 tournament, like, we're going to show up, blah, 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 which I have no doubt, like, the K-State faithful that are in Manhattan that have, like, season tickets and nothing better to do on a Tuesday night, like, I'm sure they'll be there tonight. I don't think it's going to be sold out unless all of a sudden maybe there's, like, this giant movement of, like, let's support these players.
It's not. No,
but
it's going to still be empty.
Happen. The student section maybe will be sold out as, like, you had to say that they were there type of moment, almost like a meme, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Gen Z speak there. But yeah, this game just, it could be interesting. I mean, who knows? Maybe they play better going forward. Maybe Matthew Driscoll has plenty of head coaching experience, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, it's hard to care about anything for the next month if you're a K-State fan.
The thing with the Matthew Driscoll hire this offseason is he got hired in May. And the roster had already been put together. So he was brought in with the idea that he was going to fix their offensive issues. Last year they were like 120th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They've gotten better. They're in the 90s. So, yeah, they've gotten better. They haven't gotten better to the point that it has impacted games at a power conference level. But the trade-off has been their defense has gotten significantly worse. And I don't know if you can necessarily blame Matthew Driscoll for failing at what he was asked to do because, yes, the offense is better, but he's also working with personnel that he didn't have any insight on bringing into the program or not.
Yeah.
So I don't think that – I don't know. And also you saw all of these we always wonder, is there going to be the fired coach bounce back the first or second game after that happens? But we saw social media this week, and almost all of the players, at least every single player who did post something, posted something along the lines of my coach or
My
always
coach
gonna
forever.
my coach forever,
Crazy
all of
face
these
for
types of
life.
things. So, and even his former players are weighing in and supporting him. At least some of them are.
Yes.
At least his most notable former player is supporting him.
Who?
So
When we talk about the two people that we got to give the most credit for, I think for their Elite Eight run, Marquise Noel is one of them, and Keontae Johnson being the other. I distinctly remember, the season after when they didn't have a very good, they had an okay season, but they didn't make the NCAA tournament. It was like, okay, well, he had 2 All-Americans, blah, blah, blah. Now looking back, like, we got to give Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson a lot more flowers for what they did 3 years ago. But Marquise Noel has been pretty nonstop. We say he chimes in. He's been chiming in
all day long.
All day long.
It started at
He's gonna pull up
7:11 a.m.
Oh, no.
and then
Marquise.
it continued until like 1:30 this afternoon.
Yeah.
And it featured a couple retweets as well.
Yeah, he starts by, you brought up Seth Greenberg before and what he said about the only thing Tang did wrong was not win enough games, which actually, side note, people have brought up this whole scenario is going to influence a lot of colleges to put in Jerome Tang clauses going forward, where cause for firing can be just bad basketball and losing too many games. What are your thoughts on that?
That's been the case always, but the reason that K-State brought attention to this is that they're trying to fire for cause. So that is.
But yeah, Marquise Noel starts by quote tweeting that Seth Greenberg thing, saying, "Totally agree with you, Seth. Coach Tang said nothing wrong during his press conference. All he said was there was a certain standard you have to play with when playing at K-State, and the guys there have not met it." And then he did his own tweet. "I'm shocked and disappointed in at K-State Sports. You got this all wrong. Pay my guy his money and move on." And the most recent one, little graphic of
him and Keontae and Jerome Tang.
Jerome Tang. Saddens my heart to see people mischaracterize this great human being. This man has saved souls, impacted lives, and poured into his community like no other. Coach Tang has always been about doing things the right way, getting 1% better, and keeping God first.
So all of these comments and the response that I've seen from K-State fans has mostly been, Marquise, you don't realize that you were the reason that he had success, and you and Keontae made this guy so much money. Like, are you begging for him to get his money so that he can give you some of the leftovers? And while I agree with that, I would also say that Jerome Tang has an All-American on his team this year, or one that's very close to being an All-American, and we can debate the merit. I would argue that PJ Haggerty is not an All-American because I don't think that he impacts, or I don't think that he has impacted winning at K-State this year. I think
unfortunately he can drop 30 points in a game.
It's mostly empty stats. Yeah. But to that point, the rest of that roster a couple years ago doesn't get enough credit. Like Naquan Tomlin was an overqualified third option. Desi Sills was one of the best
big spark plug guy
energy guys in the country. Ish Masood at least was a guy who could shoot threes.
An occasional game-saving three.
Yeah. So, and they've actually had a little bit of functional size with Gassan and with Bebe. So that was by far their best roster. And the reality of the situation is that college basketball coaches nowadays are going to be judged more often on how they're able to roster build than how they are able to culture build, because the rosters turn over more often than the culture can. And unless you're Houston, who just doesn't lose people to the transfer portal ever because they are in a spot where they win so much that guys just don't want to leave, you are going to have a new roster every year, and so you have to mold things to your roster every season. And Jerome Tang has failed at that.
Another big thing that hurts them there is the failure to recruit out of high school,
or the unwillingness to.
And it seems like anytime they've gotten any big profile high school recruit, other than David Castillo, I mean, we can't really put Taj Manning, I guess, as a big high profile recruit guy, but Taj Manning, very loyal, still there. And other than David Castillo, like, any high school recruit that they've gotten to commit to them has decommitted and gone somewhere else. And they have no high school recruits signed for their class of 2026. So whoever takes over this team that's eventually hired as the head coach, like, they're going to have a complete start from scratch type of year. And, like, trust me, as a Maryland basketball fan, I'm currently enduring that. It's not fun. So I don't think next year is even going to be that much better unless whoever this is maybe a younger guy who's adapted well to this environment of college basketball in this day and age, and get some wins in the transfer portal. But yeah, like, it just feels like, I mean, I know K-State fans have a lot of excitement about the future. That's what the Casey Catbacker president was telling me. They want this pushed aside. They know it might be a little rough for a while, but hey, the last 3 K-State head coaches have gotten to the Elite Eight at some point, so it's something to look forward to.
They have lacked consistent success, and I think that the conversation that we will have a lot as the hiring process plays out, college basketball is a little different than college football, where college football, the willingness to hire someone is more based on their regular season than their postseason, and you can see the sustainable success, and you can figure out by mid-October of the college football season, the midpoint of the college football season, you can kind of start to figure out who's going to be the hot college football coaching candidates for that season. College basketball, you're a little bit more reliant upon, who makes a March Madness run, or who is just overwhelming a smaller league.
Cinderella. There's going to be one or two.
Yeah, so I don't know if that person has emerged yet, but I think that the other thing that hurts K-State in this situation is that they are going to cross themselves out of a lot of really qualified assistant coaches who are at bigger programs, the Jerome Tang recipe from Baylor.
Yeah.
And Arizona is a top 5 team in the country. Tommy Lloyd was a Gonzaga assistant for a long time. There are really good assistants who are highly acclaimed at some of the more innovative programs in the country. Now, who knows if K-State could get them or not, but they're just going to cross those off, which makes me think that they are either going to go to someone who is a mid-major who has never done it at the power conference level before, which is a risky, or they're going to go to a power conference retread of somebody who has failed at this level before and just is looking for a change of scenery. So to your interviews yesterday with the Casey Catbacker people and the sound bites that we heard from our friends at WIBW who were out in Topeka, in Manhattan, talking to students, there might be more excitement, but ultimately it's going to be judged on what the results end up being. So we're in a very long wait and see mode on that.
Very much so. All right. They play at 8 o'clock tonight. We will have highlights at 10. You can stream the post-game press conference afterwards. Our friends who are at the game are also talking with some students who are out there, seeing how they're feeling. Maybe they're all showing up in paper bags tonight. Who knows?
We'll see.
Big 12, crazy. Houston and Iowa State played last night. Yesterday on this show, when Marlia and I were hosting, I said, on Saturday, Kelvin Sampson got on the mic after his game and said, Houston doesn't lose at home, Iowa State doesn't lose at home, Kansas doesn't lose at home, and Arizona doesn't lose at home. That rang true last night. Were you watching this Houston-Iowa State game?
I did watch the game. Arizona lost at home on Saturday
Although
to Texas
that is
Tech.
true.
So they broke. Honestly, like I joke about that, maybe partially because of where I went to school, but
Hater.
ultimately the Big 12 title race is going to come down to a little bit of who breaks serve at home and who steals games on the road. Like if KU has a chance to win it, you're going to look back and say they did it because they won at Texas Tech, and probably as they currently stand, they're in a spot where they control their own destiny. Well, that destiny would have to include beating Houston at home and then potentially beating Arizona on the road, or at the very least going 4-1 and hoping for some help. I mean, Houston and Arizona play each other on Saturday, and Iowa State goes to BYU, they just lost Richie Saunders, which is a bummer for the entertainment value of the league, the entertainment value of the Big 12 tournament, and just their chances. But it is I love that the Big 12 backloaded the schedule. I don't even know if it was done purposefully or not.
You have to believe it was.
But the last couple weeks, we've gotten KU Arizona, we've gotten Tech Arizona, we've gotten Houston Iowa State. We're gonna get Houston at Kansas next Monday, and
Huge.
There's just so many good games in this league, and it is going. I think that coming off of the end of the NFL season, it's like the perfect recipe, not only to get people into the college basketball world, but get people excited for Feast Week and the March Madness, the conference tournament week, which I think is it's like the trendy thing to say, but I think that everybody just says it now. It's better than the NCAA tournament week because there's like history and there's more familiarity between these teams. So I almost look more forward to what goes on in Kansas City than I do the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be cinema, as they say. Get your popcorn out. And I believe that someone like Brett Yormark made sure that these teams were all playing each other late in the season. And good for him, I guess. Maybe the schools would disagree because they have to play each other. We're not the ones playing. But this KU Houston game next Monday night, I think, is going to be absolutely pivotal when it comes to the conference standings and who can get the win. And we've talked on this show before about how you don't have to win the Big 12 to get a bid to NCAA tournament. You don't have to win the Big 12 to get a high seed. You don't have to win for whatever. I think that KU fans are seriously craving getting back to just winning a conference title. Like, it hasn't happened in a few years. They got the share of it in 2022, 23. But, I mean, Bill had, 20 straight? Not 20
no,
straight,
it was
sorry. 11 straight?
15 straight.
15 straight. When you have 15 straight Big 12 titles and then you don't have them for a while, like, I think fans would really be craving that. So even though they don't need it, I'm sure it's a motivating factor for everybody involved. And right now in the Big 12 standings, because Houston played last night and Iowa State, they just have one more game on their record than Arizona and KU do. But Houston has the most wins of anybody in the Big 12. They're 11-2. Arizona 10-2, Iowa State 10-3, KU 9-3. Also tied with Texas Tech there. Though they would of course have that tiebreaker over Texas Tech. So with 2 wins separating them right now, KU needs to win tomorrow night at Oklahoma State to just kind of give them that cushion. And then it's really anybody's game because when they play each other, like, that's going to be huge for the final standings. Yeah,
and there is a very, very good chance that KU, Texas Tech, or Iowa State is playing on Wednesday. One of those teams is going to have to play on Wednesday at the Big 12 tournament.
Which is crazy.
That is an issue for one of those teams, their chances to win that tournament, because it's going to be very hard to win 4 games in 4 days when there's all of these other extremely quality teams that only have to win 3 in 3 days, which is still a tough task.
Yeah.
But I really do think that part of the Big 12 tournament will just be that 4 or 5 game on Thursday is almost like a death spot, because whoever either somebody had to play on Wednesday, then wins that game, wins Thursday, and then they probably get whoever wins the conference, the 1 seed, or you just played that war in the quarterfinal. So it is going to be crazy. I think it's incredible to watch, and I think it's easy for KU to say, and I think it was very easy for Bill Self to say, like, we don't need to win the conference when he knew that he had teams that weren't going to win the conference.
Yeah.
And that was very apparent by like mid-January the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
This year's different. It's still, I would say, a long shot, but
So you're
I
saying
think that
there's a chance.
they've got a chance. They've got a chance, but only if they can get everybody playing and everybody playing consistently.
Yep.
And who knows if that'll happen.
It's going to be a fun 2 weeks of tournaments here in Kansas City. Before we go, another reason that it's going to be so fun here in Kansas City, when the women's tournament happens the first week of March, March 4th through the 8th, KU women's basketball has 2 local stars paving the way. Samaya Nichols, she's a junior. She's been there for a few years. We've all known about her. She's the quarterback of that team. Jaliya Davis, the true freshman from Blue Valley North, just made Big 12 history today, earning her 7th straight Big 12 Freshman of the Week honor. The standing record was 6 straight. She was tied with Aoka Lee last week, the former K-State legend. And now she is all in her lonesome holding that record. And I actually coincidentally just happened to be there for interviews with her, Samaya, and Coach Snyder. Right after the news broke, I actually watched her find out. Coach told her, it was actually a really sweet moment. He was super happy, super smiley, gave her a big hug. Samaya was jumping up and so excited. So that was really cool to witness, and asked her just her immediate reaction. She was super smiling and giddy. So shout out Jaliya. I mean, like 7 straight in the middle of Big 12 play. Crazy.
Yep. And if she wants to make it 8, which would tie the Power Conference record for most Freshmen in the Week awards won consecutively, she only has 1 game this week.
Yeah.
And it's the Sunflower Showdown on Saturday. So there's a little extra pressure of you have to play great in that 1 game. If you're going to win a conference award in the week where you only play once, you have to really show out. I'm not doubting her because she has done this week after week after week.
Yeah.
Just a little wrinkle as we look forward to next week.
She got a ball out at Bramlage. I will be there this Saturday, so stay tuned for our coverage of that. But that'll do it for us on KC Sports tonight. K-State Baylor, 8 o'clock tonight. It's going to be interesting.
Get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn ready. Get all your fixins ready. All right. Thanks for joining us. See you back here tomorrow at 5:30.